In 1943, Dmitri Shostakovich started giving people hints as to what his Ninth Symphony was going to be. The initial reports from him were that it was going to be a big, grand choral symphony celebrating the eventual end of the Second World War, something that would dwarf Beethoven's Ninth. And indeed, the Ninth, the very idea of a Ninth Symphony, thanks to Beethoven, brought about a certain expectation. When the symphony finally came out, people were surprised, some of them were delighted, others were disappointed, and it ended up being used as evidence against him in a major slap at the major composers of the then Soviet Union. The Ninth Symphony is deceptive. Everybody says, oh, it's a light symphony. It's scored for Shostakovich, a very modest orchestra. Even though it's in 5 movements, people frequently compare it to the symphonies of Haydn. And yet, with Shostakovich, darkness is never that far from the doorstep. And I think that if we look at the way that he constructs some of his themes, we'll get an idea of what's going on here. The themes of the first, second, and third movements are all based in some way on a triad, either descending or ascending, which gives them an open air quality. You know, if you're going down or up in intervals that are a third or bigger, it gives a sense of spaciousness. And even though the first movement's theme is very fast and skittish, it still is playful, it's open, it has a lot of air in it. Etc. The second movement opens with a beautiful meditation on the clarinet, opening with an ascending minor chord. And so on. And the third movement opens with another clarinet solo, which opens with 2 chords, and then another chord, and another chord, which when played at tempo comes out like this. But when we get to the fourth movement, this is where the emotional logjam happens. I'm always reminded in this movement of the slow movement of Beethoven's Fourth Piano Concerto, which is a dialogue between the very imperious strings of the orchestra and the solo piano. Beethoven's movement opens like this. But there you have the plummy sound of the string section. In the Shostakovich, you have the entire low brass section laying down the law. And for the first time in this symphony, a movement opens with a theme that's made up of small intervals, nothing bigger than a third, but mostly seconds. And it gives this feeling of constricted power and anger. This gives way to an incredible, essentially a recitative for the solo bassoon, which you'll hear played to perfection by our principal bassoonist, Samantha Epp. And after the bassoon meditates for a little while, it gives way, without a pause, to the fifth movement. And it's as if the bassoon says, okay, you want a theme based on small intervals? I can do that too, but as opposed to your monolithic anger, I'm going to have a lot of fun with it. So it doesn't break into a chord until in here. All the rest of it is scales made up of seconds. Okay. So we go from 3 movements opening with chords to the angry 4th movement in constricted intervals, and the bassoon making fun of the constricted intervals at the beginning of the 5th movement. Poor Shostakovich, it seems like in some ways the Soviet government didn't think he could do anything right. Why shouldn't he write a light, breezy symphony to celebrate the end of the war and Russia's coming through it? That's not what they wanted. They wanted something big and grand. He gave them something little and grand. When Aaron Copland was writing his great ballet score, Billy the Kid, he got an invitation to write something that he found so irresistible that he laid Billy the Kid aside temporarily and wrote this piece with which we're going to open our concert, which eventually came to be known as an outdoor overture. Interesting that Billy the Kid is a story of youth gone wrong, whereas an outdoor overture, which was written for the orchestra at the New York High School of Performing Arts, is a celebration of youth. And in no way did Copland dumb down his style. It's a work that professional orchestras love to play. I'm reminded of what the Hungarian composer Zoltán Kodály said about music for children. He said, no composer is too great to write music for children. As a matter of fact, he should be great enough to write it. And Copland wrote this utterly glorious piece of about 8 or 9 minutes duration that puts the orchestra through its paces. It's obvious he was writing for a very, very capable young orchestra. And it opens in a way that only Copland could have. It's probably that feeling of space that led him to call it an outdoor overture. A marvelous piece and a great way to usher in our season opener. Our concert is also going to feature the United States premiere of a work by a fabulous young composer named Briar Prastiti. She's from New Zealand. Bless her heart, she's going to make the trip over to Seattle to hear her work performed. The work is called Akri, the Greek word for edge. Briar is of New Zealander and Greek extraction. And it's a testament to the fact that, yes, there is a crop of fabulous young composers coming up in the world. In our seasonal tip of the hat to Halloween, we're going to have a suite of music from classic 1940s and 50s horror and science fiction movies. I can't wait. And our guest soloist for the concert is going to be not an instrumentalist, not a singer, not a dancer, but a magician. Matthew Laszlo, fabulous young magician and illusionist, is going to come and perform some of his illusions with orchestral background. The remainder of our 2025-26 season is going to be the characteristic Philharmonic mix of the tried and true and the new and never heard before. In January, we're going to have another in our series of U.S. premieres of symphonies by Ruth Gibbs. We're going to present her first symphony. We're also going to have a work for organ and orchestra by the legendary French organist and composer Jean de Messieux. We're going to end the concert with Handel's Water Music. In April, we're going to have a mix of French and Germanic music. The concert has a nighttime vibe. We're going to open with Mozart's Eine kleine Nachtmusik, a little night music. We're going to end with the Debussy Nocturnes. And in between, we're going to have some music for cello and orchestra by the sisters Lily and Nadia Boulanger, and a performance of the Poet and Peasant Overture by Franz von Suppe. Why his overtures don't get performed nearly as much as they used to, I don't know. And our season finale is going to feature a work that the orchestra voted on. They were given 3 choices of 3 blockbusters with which to end the season. Their vote was for the Ravel orchestration of Mussorgsky's Pictures at an Exhibition. On the first half of the concert, we're going to have 2 welcome returns. Music by Nicole Buetti, whose Odyssey Overture we played a couple of seasons ago. We're going to feature 3 of her orchestral compositions, and then our friend Stacy Mastrian, soprano, is going to join us for Mahler's Ruckert Lieder. Please join us for as many of these season's offerings as you can.